This program is brought to you by Stanford University.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much for being here, for enduring this film. I know that it's just a film which gets people emotionally involved, and probably it's after showing the film, probably, it's a little bit difficult to think up questions or things like that, which are more rational and things like that. But anyway, I'm here, and I would like also to, first of all, give my my thanks to the sponsors of this occasion, Mr. Abbas Milani and his group, who has invited me and this film to this university, which is supposed to be one of the greatest. So I'm quite honored to be here among you. So if you have any questions, I'm here to answer.
I have a question. This film seems to reflect what's going on in Iran with large number of addicts.
Where are you?
Here.
Are you there?
Did you have difficulty getting this movie out of Iran?
Pardon?
Did you have difficulty getting this movie out of Iran? Showing what's going on, which I think is reflecting the actual number of addicts and the sad situation in Iran.
Well, I didn't have difficulty getting it out of Iran, but I had difficulty showing it in Iran. As you may know, this film was supposed to be released, and it passed through all the procedures. It received all kinds of permissions to begin with for its screenplay, and then permission for its shooting, and everything went on quite nicely up to the moment when they showed it even in the Festival of Tehran, and it also received some prizes in the festival. But just 3 days before its general release, suddenly they decided to ban it for a while without giving any particular reason or any documents. It's just simply verbal, the order coming from the high authorities that it's not proper to show this film now, maybe later on. So that's how it got banned, and after several months, suddenly its DVD was smuggled out, and it was just released, and everybody could see it without any hindrance. So that's how it just burned all its commercial possibilities throughout the world. It had a very sad fate. More or less, one should say that it's exactly like Ali Santuri, who was not allowed to release his works. So the film also had to just came to have the same fate as the fate of the musician in the film. So that's more or less my fate, probably. It's a reflection of my story, this film.
Okay. I've heard that in Farsi, the colloquialism for shooting heroin is playing the Santuri. With this in mind, in kind of reading the end of the movie, has it just kind of come has Ali kind of just come full circle and hasn't, I guess, really developed as a character, in that we can expect like a relapse? Is that like one way? Is that what you were maybe communicating with this ending? I don't know, because I'll just throw it to you.
I'm sorry, I didn't get your question.
Oh, okay. So let me try to parse this. So with that phrase, I mean, this kind of, I guess it's kind of like pointing to the addictive or just the kind of obsession that overtook Ali in playing the Santuri. In recovering from his addiction through, I guess, kind of through the Santuri, has he really improved? I don't know, because I guess it's kind of going back to that saying, like, of playing the Santuri as kind of injecting heroin. I mean, are they kind of the same, I guess, or?
Well, that's really a very keen observation. I don't know if playing Santur is the same as shooting heroin.
Well,
is that what you mean?
Well, no, I mean that's like what the kind of the euphemism I've heard from my cousins in Iran. Like I actually saw this a few months ago in Iran, and so seeing it here now with you, I just thought I'd ask you. I mean, did you take that colloquialism into account, or?
I guess he's referring to the fact that unfortunately the general impression in Iran is that musicians are more prone to be addicted, which I personally don't think it's true, but it's sort of general impression. Are you referring to that, or?
Sort of, yeah.
I guess your cousins are probably referring to that.
It becomes a huge obsession.
You see, as I show in the film, actually the musicians are among, because I used to also play santur and piano, and I had teachers, and oddly enough, the musicians are very strict and very organized people, because you're dealing with this music. Music is like mathematics, so you have to really adjust yourself to this situation. So very rarely it's the case that they would become addicted or things like that. Except perhaps for those who are just, they call, just ordinary motreb, would go to, that they just, love to play something with a lot of emotion. But in general, the musicians are very strict and very rational and very, as the girl, in the film says that to Javid, that they usually put on ties, and they're very good people and responsible people. So this is not really the case.
I have a question. When I'm comparing your recent movie Santuri with the previous ones like Hamoon Pari or other ones, the way that I see it, there is a big difference, and the difference is that in the previous movies you more focused on individuals and the problems that they had in their own single world, not in their social circle. But like in Santuri, you're more focused on a problem which is a big part of the society that person is living in. So like, not that in the previous movies the problems that those individuals were dealing with was not a big problem, but it was more kind of internal problem in their own single world and not affecting their society that much. In contrast to Santuri, which is more of a social problem and not that much of individual problem. So does it represent a change in a way that you're looking at your society around you, or is just the subject of the movie that caused these kind of differences, at least the way that I'm looking at it?
Well, you see, I don't make that kind of a differentiation, saying that certain films are social and certain films are not social, or more individualistic. I think, in our country, everybody is more or less imbued with the social milieu, the social atmosphere in which he lives or she lives. As you may know, the authorities or the social situation is in such a way that you always feel the presence of certain powers which are commanding your existence, your fate, and that against which you are completely helpless. This may not be that evident, here in the States, because here, you cherish the individuality of the people, and they seem to be self-centered and less concerned about the social situations. But I think that in the overall outlook, everybody is somehow or other dominated by the social situation in which he lives. And in our country, in which one should say that there is evident absence of democracy or individual choice. Therefore, there it's more evident the fact that there are certain social problems which somehow engulfs you, and individuals are not really as free as they should be. So in all my films, I've tried to show, the individual engulfed by all these problematics, which are basically social and political, and they cannot really evade it. So this is also another one. If you are referring to Hamun or Pari or the pear tree, all of them are dealing with the individual person who is surrounded by all this unknown and powers which are commanding his life. So I think it's more or less the same situation I've depicted.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mehrjui. So which kind of segues pretty nicely into the question that I had, because going back to Gov and to Ejare Neshinha and to this one, looks like there's always this kind of obsession with a certain kind of either animal or there's a house, or there's some individuals find their self-expression through something outside of themselves, and then that they get over-attached to it, and then so I just wanted you maybe comment on that to see, because that kind of theme is through there, that somehow because they cannot express themselves or they cannot be them, they kind of focus or get overly attached to certain, instrument or certain, just if you could comment on that, I appreciate that.
Well, I really don't have much to comment on, because my films, they show this situation. It's the fact that in Iran, the people are not really free to make the proper choices of their lives. Their lives are just somehow run by other elements, by other powers, other than what the individual himself or herself wants to have. So it's the kind of a fate that we are obliged to follow without our being free to rebel against it or change it. So far, nothing has happened yet, but I hope that in the future we'll have some more freedom.
Hello. So In response to an earlier question, you described the classical image of musicians being very organized, very mathematical. On the other hand, you have Ali, who seems to break away from this classical image and seems more like a Western rock star who mixes drugs with arts. So I'm curious, is there a real-life inspiration behind Ali?
Is there a what?
Is there a real-life inspiration behind the character of Ali?
Not that I know of. You know, this film was just, we wrote it, you know, the script out of nowhere. It's not based on any particular story or whatnot. Actually, the fact of a Santuri musician, you know, as we see it in this film, is something that we have invented ourselves. You know, you won't find people like him in Iran who would utilize, you know, santur as an instrument to express themselves. I just invented this whole thing in this film just for the sake of eulogizing probably the instrument santur, which I played myself and I liked it very much.
Follow-on question to that, have you ever done any experiments with mind-expanding drugs or anything like that?
Do I look like it? No, I'm fortunately, you know, if I had done that, I wouldn't be able to make any films or even move myself around. You know, don't forget that I come from Iran all the way, you know, up to here, and it's a long, long way. So if I were addicted, I wouldn't be able to move. No, it just. It's like an artist that you pick up, you know, some impressions and you try to develop it and just dramatize it in this or that way. So that doesn't mean that I am. I swear it.
I think he asked, can you hear me okay now? Yeah. I think he asked the question I was going to ask, but I'm going to just, for clarification, kind of ask my question too, which is, again, kind of like his question, which is, I was going to ask, how did you come up with the idea of the film? How did you decide on the story and whether it was based on a true story, which is what I think he asked. It was a very sad film for me. I haven't been to Iran in a very long time. I am from there, but I haven't seen it in recent years. And it's very saddening for me. And I'm wondering, is it really realistic? Is it really that bad in Iran? And again, I guess you said it's less based on a true case of anyone you know and more based on your love of santur and the fact that you used to play it? Or if you could please just elaborate on that. Thank you.
Yes. As I said, you know, it just... I don't know why the audiences, you know, usually have the tendency of when they see a film or read a novel or a story or something, they want to generalize it and say that, but this is the situation in Iran. No, this is not the situation of Iran. This is the story of one single person or individual who is caught between all these different powers which are forming his fate. And no, it doesn't represent Iran in general or anything like that. It's just simply the story of a person who has such particular profession, and then he happens to face all these problems. You see, if in this film probably the reason that you may think that way is because you know, everybody is separated. I mean, nobody is connecting. Everybody is just on the verge of being banished or just manipulated by other peoples, and nobody connects. If by that you mean that in Iran this is the case, maybe yes. I mean, as it is here or everywhere else, you know, the individual is a lonely one here, and so this may be the story of everybody, you know, everywhere in this world. That man is alone. It's like an island, and he cannot connect. And there are forces which are there to make him estranged and be alienated from the people surrounding him.
Thank you very much for the movie, but I know in our culture and literature, we never talk straightforward. We don't say our ideas straightforward. But I didn't really get the point of the movie, that what you were trying to say. Were you going to show, were you trying to blame the society? Were you were blaming the Ali himself or his parents or what? And what was the point? I didn't get that. Maybe because I have lost my ability of solving the puzzles and seeing everything through other eyes. But that was my question.
Well, I don't know what to say. I may ask my friend to explain. I mean, what was the point of this film? Come on.
Should I comment on that?
Yeah?
Well, I guess you can have your own interpretation for that. The addiction and drug abuse is a reality in Iran and in any other society. So it's just a narration of what is happening, for at least an example of what's happening to these people. And I guess the whole process that he went through, loss of his wife, loss of basically his life, loss of his family, loss of the support of his family, these are realities. And this just wanted to portray the hassles and the emotions. I'm sorry for speaking for you, but...
No, go ahead.
I'm talking as if I have directed the movie.
Make it easier for me, you know.
Yeah, so just showing the emotions and the whole procedure that an addicted person will go through. I don't think necessarily that it has to have a point in terms of blaming somebody. You know, sometimes it's just showing what's happening. And that's sort of, you know, it's a message to everybody to understand these people better. Not to blame themselves, let's say, you know, this is the situation that they are in, so they need support, they need, you know, support from other people.
Okay, maybe I'll you know, I actually received a very good email from Mr. Dr. Milani the other day, who described this film as being a postmodern cow, the cow, my first film, which came out. Maybe I'll ask Mr. Milani to really to answer this question that you have asked. What's the point of this film? Pardon me?
There were many points of this movie, and there wasn't just one.
Thank you very much.
In society, we always think that, first of all, we have this taboo about addiction. And that's not just in Iran, it's everywhere. And we were just showing that the implications in one society, how could lead an individual to become addicted. Which that's one of the reasons. There are thousands of reasons. And the fact that we think that whether that is in art or in literature, because they are more sensitive, they become addicted. That's another taboo and wrong judgment that we have. And I think there is no right or wrong. So you take this movie the way that you think that it is, but there were so many points and there were so many things about the society that what's going on right now over there and what was going on before. Under the Shah, we had problems. We had people that were addicted. So I think just trying to just point to one thing, it was just really the movie.
That's not explained. Yeah, you're right. I agree with you. You know, actually, these kinds of sessions, you know, I wish it would be performed in such a way that it wouldn't be like a trial, that I'm here, you know, a victim of a mischief that I have done, and then I have to respond to my judges, I wish that you would express your feelings to me so that I would have communicate, I would really realize what have you felt about this film. Not that I would explain, what it means or what it doesn't mean.
At the end, I was very taken by the fact that just very small allows the people to express themselves through music or art or poetry, what it does to them, and how it inspires everybody, and how such a little easy things for our society where there is something that is not available. So that was really, I have to
Thank you. It was.
Yes, please. If you could please keep your questions short, I'd appreciate it.
It's not so much a question because I think some of my questions were already, asked. But this was my first Iranian movie, and I just loved it. What I loved also was its universality. It could be anywhere. It could be Los Angeles, it could be New York, it could be India, it could be anywhere in the world. And what I loved about it was that, it seemed as if there could be no hope for Ali, but at the end of it, there's so much hope. And yes, he could easily go back to the addiction, but you come out of it with so much of hope that, and you're not really looking to play a blame game. I don't think we're looking to blame anybody at all, but it was just fantastic. And it could be anywhere. I don't think it was Iran or anything. I could look at it anywhere. And my question was already answered as to, did you look for any character?
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Yes, it's possible.
Thanks for the beautiful movie. And you asked for our feeling. I could cry if I was alone. And it was a long time. I haven't seen that good movie. And Iranian movie. I really enjoyed that. But the same question that the lady asked, not the last one, the one before. That was my problem too. And in Hamoun and Banu, I could make connection between my emotions and my feeling and every single actor in the movie. This movie was beautiful, but I couldn't make connection between the story and my feeling and my emotions. I think that was a problem that the lady had that and asked, what was the story about? What was, maybe we couldn't make the connection like the great movies that you made before.
I don't know really, this is your opinion, but I have had other opinions, from other people who have made a lot of connection to this film, and I have seen it several times, 10 times, 20 times, in Iran or elsewhere, all over the world. It's just probably an individual experience, I don't know what to answer, say, I'm sorry that you haven't connected it. You have been connected, or maybe my next film you'll connect better.
Actually, I didn't mean that. As I said at the beginning, I could cry if I was alone. It was a very emotional movie, and it was beautiful. I haven't seen that nice movie for a long time. But compared to the last two movies like Banu and Hamoun, the connection between the individual person in the story and the audience, I was, compared to those, it was a great movie. I have no problem with that.
Thank you.
Exactly. Exactly. I made a connection. What I'm saying is, compared to Hamoun or Banu, the connection, the connections that the whole people in Iran made with Hamoun is, nobody ever forget that connection. You know what I'm saying? But how many people are gonna say that? Oh, how much connection we made with the actor here, with the you know what I'm saying?
All right, thank you.
I was very moved by your movie, by the way, but I had a question about the concept of individuality. I noticed as in the beginning when he was very well off and had a wife and a very good life, his song and lyrics were especially motivated by people around him and the people that he cared about, such as his wife, and he sang more about affection and love. But as his life began to go downhill due to the drug abuse, the lyrics began to, his music became more motivated by himself and all his pain and agony. And then the final song at the end seemed to kind of be a combination of the two, because he's saying both about the pain which he endured and what he lost, but also seemed to tie into the world that he's saying around and his motives from the beginning of the film. Do you feel the same way, that the final performance in the rehabilitation center combined the two concepts, in your opinion?
What was your question at the end?
Do you feel that the final song combined both the concepts of individuality and isolation and the kind of the opposite side of the spectrum, the being social and the people around you? Do you find that the final song that he performed combined those two elements, or was it just another
Yes, it did, more or less, but you know, the final song, the song that he sings at the end is just the song that he sings at the beginning of the film also, if you have noticed. So
it's the beginning, sorry.
It's more or less the same, you know, attitude. It just talks about the loneliness of a person, and that this world is so harsh, and it's the same thing, you know, that it started at the beginning.
Yes, please.
Yes, that was great. I wanted to talk about the final song also. That was a very, very moving moment for me. It just sort of all brought it all together. It's, oh, now this is where he's singing from real experience. He's not just singing words. This is real experience.
Yes, that's right. At the end, it just somehow it seems that he's just explaining his own fate. That no matter what he did, he just still remains lonely and in that hospital, which he has chosen to stay there and not go to the city. Yeah, that's right.
So yeah, I think you made a really good connection.
Thank you very much.
Yes, please.
So you see, now I've connected, you know. Very much.
I wanted to say, as another person who felt very connected, I wanted to thank you very much. And,
You're welcome.
I don't understand how people don't connect, but first of all, I wanted to thank you for your body of work, and please, it's just admirable what you do. And I wanted to change it a little bit and say, which directors have inspired you? Which directors do you admire? And just if you could just comment on that, and just I'd like to learn more about you as a person, as a director, and what makes you tick. Thank you.
Well, you see, when I was a student at UCLA, I was a film fan, Eshq film, as they say, and I would just devour, you know, all these great directors. Hopefully, I was at the time it was just a peak of the greatest films of the history of cinema, one could say, during the decade of 60s and 70s, you know, with all these great names, the Nouvelle Vague, and on one hand, and the Italian cinema of Fellini, Antonioni, Visconti, and also Bergman. I was very enthusiastic by his films and very influenced, I should say. I was just, you know, kind of a hungry young student who would devour, you know, all these great films. And so I cannot say really which film or what director has influenced me. I should say that probably all of them have influenced me, or I am a student still trying to learn. But looking at the state of cinema nowadays, it's very disappointing, you know, just because I don't see anything valuable nowadays. We are all bombarded, as you may realize, by all this commercial trash, which are just coming one after the other, and it's really a pity that none of those great masters are alive, or they don't have even substitute, Janashin, huh?
Yes, replacement.
Huh?
Replacement.
Replacement, yeah. I have forgotten my English. I haven't talked English, for a long time. So it's a little bit difficult, yeah. It's a pity that, we are living in an age where cinema has diminished and has lost its artistic value, so much so that it had become simply a means of entertainment. But at those times, it was not like that, We were constantly seeing great films everywhere, here and there. So I should say that all these great filmmakers, have influenced me, but not Americans, unfortunately. Unless we may talk of Orson Welles or Stanley Kubrick, or to a certain degree Woody Allen, but otherwise nobody really distinguished, I would find here.
Hi. It was a great movie with all its elements, but I had a question about
Would you please
elements.
speak louder, please?
It was a great movie with all its elements, but do you hear me?
Yes.
All right. So, but I had a question about these elements. So most of the movies, it seems to me like more like a musical movies than a regular common movie. Most likely, directors would include the music after shooting the film or after at least having the scripts. But I had a question if you had the scripts first or the movie first and then put the music on it, or you heard the music first and affected by that you produced the movie, and how did they affect each other?
Well, I had written the script already. When it came to production, then I started finding the musician who would respond to this, what I had written and what I wanted to be played in the film. And I looked around a lot, but I couldn't find anybody really who would be suitable for this type of film that I wanted to make. But just suddenly, par hasard, by accident, I found out about Chavushi, who was an underground musician who was not well known and nobody knew him, but just he had given out only 1 or 2 CDs, which came to my hand, and I listened to it, and I was very affected by his voice and also the nature of his music. And that's why I decided to find him, but everybody told me that he has escaped the country, he's not here, and he's mamnu al-khuruj or things like that. But hopefully I found him. He was there. And I gave him the script. And oddly enough, he took the script, he went away, and after 2 weeks he came back with the first CD of the first music that you hear in the beginning of the film and also at the end of it. And it was amazing, this was right there, with the poetry and everything. He had all his friends, doing all these things. And he was also very excited about this situation because it was the first time that he could really express himself, and he would know that it would be illegal. But he didn't know that the film would be banned afterwards. Anyway, so this went on, the second piece and the third piece, everything. He's a very talented and very, very artistic, I think, in nature and also in his music, and then again, I was fortunate that Mr. Kamkar, who was my Santuri teacher years ago, I also found him, and I asked him to, arrange the music with the Santuri and everything, and this was how it came out. It was all after the script was written and everything.
So that Chawashi's musics are it has got lots of fans in Iran and Persian community, but I'm wondering if it affected the movie afterwards also? Like, let me ask it this way: if you eliminate all of those songs from the movie, do you still assume that the movie will have its points and will affect the people the same way? Or?
I didn't get your question.
His question is how Chavush's music has influenced the movie, whether the script was modified after you got to know him.
No.
Did he modify anything? Or?
No, the script was just there. He only added its musical parts, you know. And nothing had changed in the script. He actually adapted himself to the script's requirements. So he was intelligent enough to really feel the film and the script and just go about. Although, you know, the poetry or the lyrics were indicated in the scripts, you know, that in this scene you have to talk about this such and such a thing, you know, in this scene you have to talk about this and that. And so this really gave him a direction how to organize his lyrics and his music.
We have time for one more question, and last question is a Santuri player, actually. Nima.
Thank you, Mr. Mehrjui. Being only somewhat familiar with the limitations in Iran producing such a beautiful film, I greatly admire your tenacity and determination to produce this. And, you know, you developed this film, and a few days later it was banned unexpectedly. And yet we see that you continue to be determined and to continue to persist and continue your work. My question for you is, where do you get that determination and motivation from? What gives you that energy to keep on going?
God. Thank you very much for your comments. Well, you know, this is my job, you know, as probably, you know, everybody has his own job. So my job is just to, you know, write things and try to objectify them through this medium of cinema. I'm fortunate enough that I have to do this thing, you know, rather than like many people, you know, you have to do a lot of works which don't make any meaning for you. But fortunately, my profession is in such a way that I enjoy working, you know, and even if I don't get paid at all, still I would do the same thing. You know. So that's how it goes. Okay, that's it.
Thank you very much. I would like to thank Mr. Mehrjui.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you.